Now that Atlas is doing really well with haltering, I wanted to introduce him to the bridle. So I'm just going to kind of hold up the bridle reins and then reinforce him for bringing his nose toward them. Fortunately, I'm kind of in the way here. I'm going to move in a second, but I'm just kind of holding those reins up and he's kind of pushing his head toward them a little bit or just keeping his head straight, and I'm going to reinforce that. So right here, and then I'll kind of move them a little bit further and he's staying really nice and still and doesn't seem worried or upset about this in any way while I pull those reins over his ears. So I'm going to reinforce that. And I'm just going to kind of show him the bridle here. It's just a jumping hackamore, so it's just basically a noseband with some fluff on the top. I'm just going to kind of bring it up just like I would the halter and just kind of see how he reacts to it. So if he stays still or if he brings his head and nose down into the bridle, I'm going to reinforce. So that's kind of the process here, and I want just this to be just like the haltering. Just kind of offer it to him. There, he kind of brings his nose into it. I'm going to click as that's happening, take the bridle down, and then reinforce. So bridle up. He brings his nose in. That's beautiful. Clicking as his nose is going into the hackamore, and then reinforcing. And I just kind of pull it up a little bit higher. He kind of pulls his head out. You just got to make sure that you're clicking as his nose is going in. So if you've already clicked as the nose is going in, or if the head is still, that's okay. If when you take the bridle off, he kind of pulls his head back a little bit, just make sure that the animal or that the horse is not worried. Like as long as she's not pulling his head back, I don't want him worried about that. I don't want to force him to have his head in there. I want him to want to have it in there. So that's why I like to teach the nose in. So just be careful that they're not pulling their head away or that you're not clicking when they're pulling their head away. So it's going to give you a clue how they feel about it, but you don't want to reinforce that on accident. I love how he's putting his nose in. He's cool with me like moving the crown piece like from one ear to the other, and it's kind of moving on his face. He doesn't seem worried about that at all. So I'm going to offer it to him. That time he didn't want to put his nose in as much. I probably shouldn't have reinforced that or maybe asked for even a little bit more since the last few times he's been doing it well. Or maybe even given a break there. That was really nice. I want that where he's pushing his nose into the bridle a bit. So that looks pretty good. That's a pretty nice first introduction. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll put the bridle up, and I just wanted to put a little bit of hoof oil on his hooves. And this is something new for him. I've been picking up his feet. I pick out his feet. I trim his feet. But he's not had hoof oil on. So we wanted to work on that. And this hoof oil and probably most of them kind of smells gross. So I wanted to make sure that he was cool with this process, so just kind of am down by his feet, and I probably should have put some food on the ground nearby or let him eat kind of off the mounting block or something while I did this, so that he doesn't get his face as close to his feet and then kind of smell that, um, like because the smell might be a little aversive to him. So I do that later on, but I guess I didn't really think about the smell at the time. But he does well. Castor had a bigger reaction to this than Atlas did, because he's totally fine with me messing around in his feet. But I just want to make sure like he smells that and he gets like some hay or some food, so he kind of associates it in a positive way versus like, oh, that's really scary. But yeah, he did really well for his first time putting hoof oil on.